Council, Monday, March 27th. It is 7:05. Call to order. If we could all rise, I'd like to ask Ryan to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks very much. Roll call.
Quisenberry.
Here.
Hayden.
Here.
George.
Here.
Green. Here. Nivelt.
Here.
Randazzo.
Okay, that's everybody here and accounted for. Item 4 is the appointment of a new council member. That person just happens to be in the room with us. The only bad part about this is it's going to eliminate our viewing audience by one. But that being said, I am very, very happy to introduce Linda Brooks. Linda Brooks has been a resident in Ortonville for 30 years and has worked in the village for 20 years. So a remarkable history of time and commitment to this community. So I would certainly like to be the first to welcome you to the council, and I'm sure everyone shares that with me.
Yes.
So, with that being said, you get to take the oath of office, and if you don't mind, I'll have you step up here, and the clerk will administer you.
No, we have to do a vote.
We have to vote? Vote on whether we're going to have it?
Council has.
I'll make this a roll call vote.
Yes, and she introduces herself,
and-
says a little something.
Yeah.
She introduces herself, says a little something,
Got it.
and then we do a vote. Yep.
Yeah.
Saying.
Roll call.
Well, wait,
Oh, we gotta make a motion?
I make a motion
Yeah.
that we
Make a motion.
appoint Linda Brooks in the vacant trustee position that will end within 2 years.
Support November 2024.
Thank you, November
24,
2020.
all right, support from,
Roll call.
Hayden.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
George.
yes.
Nivelt.
Yes.
Randazzo. And Quisenberry.
Yes. I'd also like the council to know that the Personnel Committee discussed this as well and unanimously support the appointment of Ms. Brooks to the board. You know, yeah, maybe somebody on TV, if you want to say anything before you take your oath? Or do you have anything to ask of us, or?
I thank you for the welcome, and I feel like I know several of you already.
Well,
No, we've never met before.
that's true, and if somebody hasn't met you, they've had to have seen you, because nobody logs more miles up and down the streets than you do, maybe not even more than Hawkswell.
Here last month, they were putting me to shame.
Yes. Okay, now with that being said, if you don't mind coming up here, or maybe right over here, if you,
We're actually going to go.
let's get the flag in the background.
Do you want us to move?
I think we're okay.
Shelby, you want to come up here so you can take a picture for your...
Single boo.
Is this out of the way?
All right. Please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state,
and the Constitution of the state,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of village trustee.
Wow.
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of village trustees. That's the
Have a seat.
Yep.
Could she have a seat now?
Yeah, she can have a seat at the
Nice,
table.
have a seat, Linda.
Since we did it at the beginning of the meeting, she can vote for the rest of the meeting if she so chooses.
All right. Very nice.
Although I think that might eliminate
Do,
public
have
comments.
a spot over here?
Is this-
Okay.
But we do have items from
Okay,
trustees.
Okay, good.
We'll get you a name tag before the next meeting.
actually, I'm already going to be absent with notice.
I love it.
Special.
That's fine.
Isn't that special?
With notice for the next meeting.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
Well, the
Wow.
previous person in that slot was permanently absent since the November election.
I like that, though. You sound like a seasoned trustee by saying that, I'm just gonna say.
However, it is nice to know that, so thank you for that. Moving on, we have an agenda in front of us. There are 15 items. Would anyone like to approve the agenda for tonight?
Make a motion to approve the agenda for March 27, 2023.
Moved and supported. Do you have a question now?
I do.
Okay.
On approval of the consent F, special events, Abigail's Pride. Can we pull that out? I just have a couple questions.
Which one?
F, under number 10.
Okay. F, you would like to ask that that be removed?
Pulled out
I
for
just had a
discussion.
question.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is we can then make the motion to approve the agenda minus
Okay.
item J?
What we've done before is move that to new business,
Yep.
Yes.
letter B. the last
Yeah,
one.
I'd like
All right.
to amend my motion to approve agenda with number 10F, move to number 13, new business, number B.
Well stated. And moved and supported. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed. Next up is the approval of the council minutes. I think most of us via email received a version or two of that over the past, since our last meeting, and believe they were satisfactory with everyone at some point in time.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Support?
Approval of council minutes from March 6th. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Acceptance items. There's a financial report for February of this year in our packets, as well as a revenue and expenditure report for February of this year in our packets as well. Does anybody have any comments about the acceptance items? Hearing none, those in favor of the accepting the acceptance items, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the acceptance items are just as they're named. Number 8 is approval of the disbursements. We also have the money that the village has outlaid this month for expenditures, and that's in your packet as well.
Make a motion to approve our disbursements as of March 15th, 2023, in the amount of $18,596.76.
Support?
Support, okay.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion on the disbursements? Yeah. Yes.
Why do I have it, why do I have that date up there?
The date is wrong at the top.
Okay.
It's correct in the body there from 3/28 through 3/15.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, clarification was asked for and received on the date, and with that in mind, are there any other discussions about the disbursements?
Do we need to put that in the motion to correct that, or has
I
it been?
don't think so, because she stated as of 3:15.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I'll change it if you want, so it reflects that you switched the date.
Yep.
Just make sure it's for our records.
Yeah.
switched.
Yep.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. And then I'm gonna do a roll call.
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Ninevelt,
Yes.
Randazzo. Yes. Hayden.
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes.
Amber, yeah, and Brooks.
And Brooks.
Oh, Brooks, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going off my old sheet, my bad, I'm so sorry.
Put it at that.
And Amber, just one other minor point on that. I noticed consumers and DTE are both injury instead of energy.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I can't hear.
Yeah, consumers and DTE both show injury instead of energy. If you can
He's
correct
correcting a spelling.
the spelling
Oh,
on that.
all right.
It's very minor.
I'll go through it.
That's fine.
Which one, Linda? Go ahead.
It's a minor thing, but it says snow shovels instead of shovels, unless there are shovels.
Shuffle.
What number is
Maybe
that?
they are shovels.
Where is that at, so she can find
21,880.
it on her notes?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you. You're in the
Snow
actual
shovels.
report. Okay.
On 315 for
Wine
wine
guards.
guards.
Oh, there it is. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's,
Minor.
That's the main thing.
yeah, it's the snow shovels and, a big blower repair because they broke 3 of their snow shovels
All right.
on that
Oh,
ice.
goodness, with the ice?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
they
remember
were,
Bob
they
saying.
were talking about that. Okay, anyway, that was already voted on, so we're good to go, but,
Yeah, I'll fix the
and we'll make
spellings.
the corrections on the official record so that we will have it noted correctly. On to public comments. This would be where anybody in the audience, I can ask Linda Brooks, but you actually, you're going to have your own chance here, so we don't need to call on you right this minute. Okay, there are no comments from members of the public. We'll move on.
No?
Nothing to add there? Okay, good. On to the consent agenda, which is items A through J, with the exception of one that was moved out of here. And that's going to be its own item. I believe that's item F is now removed from this consent agenda. And are there any motions about it?
Did you want to just name what's on the consent agenda for the record?
Read it down.
Yeah.
Minutes from the DDA, minutes from Personnel Committee, minutes from IT Committee, Parks and Rec Committee, special events, Spring Garden, special events, Eats in the Streets, special events, Farmers Market, special events, Eats in the Streets, and J is special events, Witches Night Out. I do remember when I went through my packet, I saw permits for all those events, kind of as a catch-all for everything we've got going on this summer, unless something pops up on us that we're not aware of at this point. Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, any further discussion on the consent agenda, or is everyone comfortable with the contents of that? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the consent agenda is completed. Items from trustees. I can put you right on the hot seat, Linda, and say I'm going to start at your end.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. 8 years was brief, so kudos for that.
Nice.
On to Mr. Hayden.
Yes, first of all, the IT committee has met twice this month, and we have moved, mostly the biggest topic has been around the website. We have received quotes back from the RFP that was put out for the website redesign and migration, and that is an agenda item tonight. So if there's any questions on that, when we get to that, I'd be happy to address those.
And Larry,
we also-
you're referring to this, we got it today from Ryan with the
Yes.
update of what IT choices you guys were looking at.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, we met prior when there was supposed to be a Zoom meeting with the vendors to clarify any, or if they had any questions or about the RFP. And we did not have any vendors attend that, but we did take some other topics into consideration then. And then we also have, on the 23rd, we reviewed, prior to going to the SEMCOG assembly, we reviewed the RFP proposals, discussed them, and came up with our recommendation, which is in the packet. And that leads me to my second topic, which is the SEMCOG General Assembly. Ryan and I attended that last week. It was a really good session, a lot of very interesting information. They spoke about the potential grant opportunities that they have. I know Ryan mentioned some in his updates about like a round 2 of Spark grant updates. There's also in the legislative update from the executive director, there was information about a House appropriations bill that looks like it's going to be providing more money to local streets instead of just going to the state roads. So that sounds very exciting. Right now that appropriations bill is going through the process, so stay tuned and keep your eyes open for any requests from either MML or SEMCOG for our support to our legislators to pass that bill. And I think that's pretty much it that I have for topics.
Ryan, would that be one of these issues where if we had a resolution, it would strengthen a position for the council on this, with legislatively?
Some of them, yes.
Well, we can put it on the next agenda, but
Yes.
sometimes when there's a resolution, it
Strengthens.
yeah, kind
strengthens the-
of gives a little bit more merit, and it makes us not appear wishy-washy on the topic.
Right, there's a couple coming from SEMCOG, and some of those will have that opportunity to support
Okay,
that way.
all right. Thanks, Larry. Melanie?
Yeah, I attended a training class called Making Good Decisions Together. That was from MAP, Michigan Association of Planning. Very interesting. I sent all the material that I received to Ryan. So the office has it. There's information on FOIA, Open Meetings Act, record retention, and also the presentation, the slide presentation from the training. And something really interesting that I learned there was most communities that attended that training for their new onboarding of whether it's planning commissioner or trustee, they have requirements for training. And I know we always strongly encourage, because my understanding was we cannot require it. But these places are doing that. So it's something to, you know, food for thought, because if we could require someone to go to those first startup classes, I think that would be invaluable for new trustees.
Can I ask 2 follow-up questions? Mm-hmm. Is that something everyone would like me to share with the whole village council, that training packet, the takeaways from that?
How long is it?
There's, I think, 4 links, but they're quite hardy, each one.
Okay. Certainly send out the links.
Yeah. And second question, we do have the skeleton of a training plan. Our RC planner helped us create one. The planning commission adopted it recently, so they have a set every month. There's a 5 or 10 minute training that they do during their meeting, and we could add that to the village council if we wanted to as well. Is that something we'd be interested in? It'd be in your packet.
I honestly, I see both sides of that issue. The more training anybody can get is invaluable, I'm certain of it. I had quite a bit of it through my, professional development career, so I know its value. On the other hand, calling something a requirement is sometimes some thin ice for an elected official, because they are elected and they can choose to not do it. And I don't know that you could, punish someone or sanction them for saying, I'm not going to go to your training class. Mm-hmm. I don't think we are on any legal ground to require it.
Yeah, that, I can see that
Right.
for council members. I was thinking the same point.
Now, other committee
maybe the
people or
appointed-
people appointed or employees, absolutely, we have, a solid leg to stand on in that regard.
That's why I was surprised that these areas
We're able to do it.
were able to, and it's like, what changed?
Yeah, I get,
Because I really thought you couldn't, but I love the idea of just getting the fundamentals. But I always thought that you could not require it. I don't know.
well,
And I haven't-
we should certainly, at the very minimum, always strenuously encourage it.
Yeah.
That's really, can and should be, well, it's what we already do, but we need to keep doing more of it.
Would this be a topic appropriate for the personnel committee to review at some point? Training plans for the various staff and bodies?
Well, we've kind of already started that, but there are
I know
like
for staff,
clerk,
but-
are you like for staff in particular?
Yeah, I know we've
like
talked about it for staff
Yeah.
before, but we're expanding this maybe into planning commission and other appointed positions as well, maybe, which I think is not a bad idea.
We can come back to it. Sorry to
Okay,
throw it on.
yeah, I mean, I can't say yes or no.
Okay.
That's up to, yeah. And then on grants and Ryan will be talking more. I had sent him the MAC grant that we had applied for last year, and he is going for it again. What else? The Easter egg, Lions Easter egg, April 8th is their Easter egg event at the school. And I do not have the time. I saw it on Facebook before I came, but it's all over Facebook.
Who puts it on, the Lions Club?
The Lions Club, yes.
10 a.m. on what day?
April 8th. Yeah, and that, and welcome, Linda. I'm very excited.
Oh, thank you.
It's nice to have a full council.
Thanks, Melanie. Kay?
I really have nothing to report tonight. Basically, what I would report on is what Ryan's got in his portion, talking about the 170.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Pat?
Yeah. Regarding, let's see, 175th, it just keeps coming up, 175, a lot of things going on.
Play that number.
Yeah, so basically, the Historical Society, we've been meeting every Wednesday to get some things done and things like that. We got a little subgroup there that meets.
Pat, you
And
guys
that's been-
still meet every Wednesday, the Historical
So,
Society?
yeah, I get the
Okay.
feeling it might go through in
Wow.
September.
Okay, good. I mean, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I would have thought maybe monthly, but it's nice that it's weekly.
It's not the full group, it's the subgroup that's prepping the mill, right?
That's part of it, yeah. And then on the first couple of Saturdays coming up in April, that's when we'll start, taking the covers off things and doing some dusting and things like that and getting it ready to open up. So the first official Saturday that it will be open will be Saturday, let's see, the 1st, no, 8th, no. It'll be open probably the Saturday after we have our first meeting. And our first formal meeting is always the second Tuesday of the month, so second Tuesday in
Are you
April.
talking April?
Yeah,
Okay.
April, okay.
Yeah, we'll be meeting, and I'll be honest with you, I should know that, but when they're gonna open, I don't know if they're gonna open the mill, it might open at, no, they'll wait. It's not gonna open up till Saturday the 15th is my best guess now. So that'll be after we have our meeting. Yep. And that's pretty much it. I know this much, I say Judy Miracle had been out of town a little bit, and she attended the 175th meeting. And last Wednesday came in with just all kinds of stuff, and it's exciting. It's popping, Ryan. Yeah, you should be proud of that. Yeah, just a lot of things happening. A lot of different groups, a lot of positive things. Yeah. So there's a lot of energy buzz going on, and that's
Yeah.
it.
You're gonna have this going on now for a while. I mean, I'm either happy to say or afraid to say, but yeah, you'll be a busy guy, I think.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Good,
Been
good.
fun.
No,
That's it.
is your, because I'm so confused in all the different groups, but are you guys doing the ice cream social one? Are you guys, or
I
is
don't
that
know if we got
another
a
one?
thumb in that or not.
We do.
I don't think we do.
Okay,
So
I,
that's the other event I mentioned when we talked about summer events. So
Okay.
We do need
Okay.
a special event process on that.
Yeah.
It's again, a team effort, but looking at June 7th for that. We'll get more info in April as it comes together.
You say June 2nd or 7th?
Seven.
June
James
7th.
Jordan's birthday.
Got it.
Oh,
Amos.
We wish him a.
Yeah, exactly. We'll,
Nice.
we'll toast to him, that's for sure.
200 and almost 200 years young.
Wow.
And to the missus too, we'll
Well,
celebrate,
don't leave
yeah,
her out.
exactly, okay. Thanks, Pat. Tony?
Well, I did submit all my information here, but April 29th at the grounds of the old mill, there's going to be a perennial plant exchange. This kind of came up at the last one, 175th celebration. Fred was there, so Parks and Recs is doing this. That is a Saturday, and really everything else is pretty much the same. Just in case anybody does see a dumpster over at the concession stand, that is for Brandon Parks and Rec. They're gonna clean up the interior of the concession stand. They are going to use the concession stand this year because we are now waiting on the DNR to get back with the finals on the plans. So it's all up to them, so we figure if we clean it up, water's gonna get tested to make sure it's good.
Well, as you mentioned, it's gotta be done no matter what, so
Yeah,
as long as
yeah.
we gotta get it done.
I just don't want people thinking there's construction going on, it's more cleanup than anything, just to get it ready, so. Pretty much that's it.
thanks, Tony.
Thanks very much, Tony. On to item 12, unfinished business, the
Do
web,
you have the DDA? You're the DDA guy.
the DDA.
Do anything, or just what was in the minutes?
Yeah, it was the minutes, I mean, and
right.
honestly, it was a short meeting, and
nice.
I think I mentioned the last time that they can have up to 12 people, and they currently have 8. Brian, that number's even gonna drop, right?
I think so.
Okay.
The important one for you guys is their next meeting on April 18th will be a joint meeting.
That's already on our calendar though, right?
Yes, I think it is on our calendar. It'll be at 7,
Yeah.
be in the evening, not in the morning.
Is that at the library?
Here.
Here, it is.
Yep.
What time is that
Planning
meeting?
Commission, EDA, and council.
And
7
again,
PM in the evening.
I don't know why I
Get
put it
info
down
from
for
Matt.
6.
I think I'm pretty sure it's 7.
Okay.
We'll double check.
No, yeah, that's me.
that's what it
me
says.
screwing it
Yeah,
up.
I think it is. Yeah.
Just wanna make sure, because some of these meetings have been scheduled at 6, and then I get caught by surprise sometimes.
Well, I think we try to make them always 7 just for most people, but if it's 6, it's because of some sort of scheduling conflict. But 7 seems to be the preferred time.
Have they decided who is going to the Main Street out of town?
They're already there.
They're there right now.
Yeah.
Oh, when?
It's,
Yeah, the national conference.
Thank
is
you.
Right now, it's in Boston, and Matt and Courtney are there with lots of Michigan people.
Oh, yeah, good. And then the, what's coming up too. But we'll know more in April. What did we buy tickets for?
Thinking of the main event.
Yeah, thank you.
At the
Down at the,
Strand.
Strand.
Yeah. It was in your packet last time. The info is the same. If you want to attend, you may.
Is anyone, I know Kay and I are going. Are you going?
My wife will be extremely pregnant. so
Okay.
we'll see.
Yeah, no, probably not then. Are you going, Kevin? Anybody?
I'm sure I won't be.
Okay.
Well, let's put it this way, it would be a last-minute decision, because it might be a conflict right now.
Gotcha.
Conflict, but if it turns out to be open, then of course that can happen. So moving on to the website design, that was what Larry mentioned a few minutes ago, and we got a handout, and it seems very self-explanatory, but the IT committee put some work into this, and they have a recommendation for us of a company called Revise, and they are going to update the village's website, which has been out of date for several years now, or at least it's, let's see, seems to be at least 8 years old at this point. It sounds like they have a good offer because they are going to maintain it after a certain period of time, and then they will give us some upgrades that are part of the cost of doing business with them. Aside from that, it's recommended by Larry and by Ryan, and from what I read, I would recommend it as well.
I recommend that the village council accept the proposal of Revise for the website design and content development services.
Support?
Okay, as far as other discussion goes, I'm just kind of curious, when these folks find out that that the council has passed this, do they know how quickly they can begin to start things?
Yeah, so their proposal includes a timeline. There's some flexibility in there. I will call them if council moves that direction tomorrow and say, let's get it cracking as soon as
Okay.
possible. Their proposal calls for, I think it's between 16 and 21 weeks.
Okay.
To deadline, and I'm sure that can change. It's something we budgeted for in the current fiscal year, so we're kind of eager to do it.
And they don't really have to come here to do it, or at least not often, would they? This is something they would do in a laboratory or some sort of a
Usually all
studio?
of it They do kind of on the back end.
Yeah.
The parts where we would interact, there's some staff training and things like that. They're based in Troy, and their project manager lives in the township. He dropped it off on his way home from work one day.
Okay.
So they're local-ish, but with a national portfolio.
Okay, thanks. Is there any other discussion besides what I just asked Ryan?
When I looked at it, as far as cost, it seemed very reasonable, and plus, after 4 years, they'll do a redesign, which all the other companies wanted to charge us for, and this one is included in.
That did seem like a nice perk, and I mean, it's an unfortunate part of this, but it absolutely has to be done. There's no functioning in a government office these days without a website, so it's something we have to do.
Yeah, I just want to mention, two of the points that we were particularly liked about the proposal is, first, that it will integrate with our existing documents on demand, which has worked very well for us, so we don't have to change out of documents on demand, which is nice. And second, the aspect about the extensive training and support that they're offering. We have not, my understanding is we have not gotten that level of support from our current provider, and so this will be nice to have hopefully some better support and training from the new provider.
Well, it sounds like a big improvement. I mean, not just a little improvement, a big one.
It's a change for us. Yeah.
So, that being said, and discussion being held, I'd like to ask for a roll call vote.
Alrighty. We will go with Green,
Yes.
Nivelt,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes. Well, that's the most number of names we've had to read off in a long time. Okay, that takes care of the website design. Ryan says he's gonna make some phone calls tomorrow and get the ball rolling. So hopefully, you know, there won't be any delays or hiccups on their end, and it can get done sooner rather than later.
Thank you, you guys, for, this will be great.
Yep. Item 13 is new business. We're gonna schedule a budget workshop. I think, didn't you mention a date to me already?
Yeah, I put a couple in there in your packet. We already have the June 12th joint meeting scheduled. Ideally, by that one, we've got at least several of our ducks in a row. So we're not going through our dirty laundry. We've already got it out to dry. By our June 12th meeting, and this item aims to schedule either one or two, either April 13th or May 2nd, or two that I saw on the calendar that seemed like good possibilities for us.
And I remember you mentioning those to me, and the May 2nd sounded like the best.
Yeah, that works for me.
What does May 2nd fall under?
Tuesday.
Okay, never mind, all right, that's good.
Planning on Monday night, workshop on Tuesday.
That's
Now,
fine.
just the workshop is held next door, most likely, or do
They're
you?
open to the public. It'd probably be easier if we met around the conference table, because
Okay.
typically at our first one, we kind of go line by line and say,
Right.
we're projecting these revenues, these expenses are going up, these ones are going down, all that good stuff. So we can get into the weeds.
Okay, and if it is May the 2nd, it would be a 7 o'clock thing? Is that what you would envision?
Either way.
Well, budget workshop, we could do earlier.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I know we did one of them at 6
I want anything to
before,
be,
if you wanna-
it could be earlier, as far as I can.
Okay.
We've done a lot of workshops at 6 because they're less public focused. I think we get a better public turnout obviously at 7. And so
Yeah.
that's why a lot of those
Yeah, this is
are-
good.
that's
I see.
historically how
Yeah, I don't know if I'd make that my reason, but,
I vote for 6.
Yeah, that way you guys can, get home too.
So are you recommending just one budget workshop or possibly both of those?
well, I think what it would be is May 2nd would be our first one for sure, and we want to have all of our ducks in a row, as he mentioned, by the June something date. So it might very well be necessary for somewhere around the 15th or 25th of May sometime to schedule another one. That's if it's necessary. Ryan assures me he's got everything all ready to go, so,
I have it all knocked
yeah.
out by
Yeah.
May 14th.
So based on that, I make a motion to schedule a budget workshop on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 at 6 PM.
Support?
Okay, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So Ryan, that will then be posted and published and all the necessary hoops done for that to happen.
At 6 p.m.
6 PM. And the budget workshop is now scheduled, and should a second one be needed, we can discuss it
That meeting.
at that meeting. Next up is the villager manager report.
No,
Abigail's.
No,
Abigail's. Oh, we added a B.
Yep.
Abigail's,
Right.
okay, were you or Ryan gonna,
I was bringing it.
good.
I guess my question is, we had talked in the past that for things that are gonna be done here in the village, because there's a cost to that, as far as your fire, your, police, et cetera. CERT, I don't think they're paid, but they have to be involved too, the DPW.
DPW for sure.
There's a lot of expense, and I guess what I'm asking, is this money gonna stay in Ortonville this year?
It did last year.
It didn't last.
I don't know anything about
They-
the event.
They switched
but-
it like right towards the money was gonna go to Royal Oak.
Yes,
And we had issue with that when we're using all our resources. But somehow it switched last year, right before the event, and stayed here. But I don't know how it's
Did it,
dispersed.
Ryan?
Did it actually? Do
That's
we
what
know?
Courtney told me. I don't know. If she was here, I
You
could
would have
ask her.
record of it, right?
I don't have a definitive
Yeah.
answer for you. I know that the applicant is a 501c3 nonprofit.
Right.
And I know they do their own fundraising throughout the year. I know that this is their biggest event by far.
Right.
And so I would imagine that they raise funds to use funds on events like this. So I would suspect that it stays.
But we don't know that for sure.
I don't, and that's not part of our application, so I've never asked that question.
Yeah. So, so when they do apply, let's see say with the fire or police, do they charge them the 501 receipt or no?
We currently have no fee associated with this polling special event permit.
I thought we were changing that, no?
It's been a back burner project
Okay.
for a long time.
Okay.
Never.
Well, I mean, that's an issue
Okay.
because
Boiled up.
there's a lot of expense
Yeah,
to a
overall.
parade.
Yeah.
There is.
That charge a barricade fee, and if you're
Right.
closing the street, it's X dollars per.
Yeah.
And there's lots of ways to do it. The previous clerk and I researched several different communities, local and far, and how they do it. And we've seen
Okay.
different forms and things like that, but that's as far as we've been able to take it. It's, I've said several times that our form sucks. There's lots of information that's not asked that should be, so things
Right.
like that.
Weren't you working with DDA on it though? Was
yeah.
Matt? Okay.
Yeah, and we've talked several times between DDA Director Jenkins and I, and Chief Quapis and Lieutenant Glover. And DPW Supervisor Hawkswell as well. Just different ways we could do it, how we do it, where the pitfalls are in our current process. It's a process we know, so we haven't let go of the familiar to move to something different yet. But if it's a council priority, it could be bumped up to the to-do list. It's one of the things that's been in one of those piles on my desk for at least 16 months.
I would
I
like
would like to see it bumped up because that it just seems to me, I mean, I hope that they're leaving the money in the community, but with.
But if there's nothing asking them to help like offset the costs, then they really don't have to.
Where's there any money coming from? I mean, when you say the profit,
The profit goes to their organization.
right,
Well,
because
he's
it's
asking
a,
how
because
they-
it's a nonprofit,
Yeah.
they're,
How do they get their money?
yeah, how do they get their money in the first place?
Fundraising.
Yeah. And this parade is part of their fundraising event, where they put a kettle out there and you can throw money in?
Right, and there's vendors and things like that.
Okay.
Okay, well, maybe that's something we could look at
Yeah, Ryan, considering we probably have
sooner versus
majority of
later.
event permits already in,
Obviously, it's not
I
gonna
would-
have a
I
bearing
would
on
ask-
this, but it's sure something I think we should think about.
yeah, I would ask that maybe you add this as something to pick up in Q3. Or actually, I guess that would be fiscal year Q1.
Right.
Because I think that we gotta finalize a lot of other topics before the next fiscal year. So maybe once we get that done sometime in the fall time, pick this topic back up
Right,
before
if-
things get busy with winter.
If Dennis would have just founded the village in 1849 instead of 48, there'd be a lot more free time this year for something like this. But that's how things happen. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, thank you.
That's, yep.
Yeah, thanks. I saw the permit, but didn't know what the event was even about. That was item B, and Ryan addressed it. Ryan, if you want to go on to foreclosure,
We
we
probably
need
need
to-
to approve this. yeah.
Yep,
So choose.
so because it wasn't approved in the other
Right,
one?
right,
Yes.
and
Got
so
it.
Hold it up.
Well, then, who wants to approve it?
I make a motion to approve the special event permit for Abigail's Pride, June 3rd, 2023. Is that supposed to be 11 a.m.?
Said 4, I
Yeah, I
thought.
think
11
it's
to
supposed to
4,
be
it
AM.
said.
Yeah.
It says 11 p.m.
It looks like a A,
11
yeah.
a.m.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, the end is 4 PM.
Yeah, it
Got
looks
it.
like a
So
P.
11 a.m. till 4 p.m.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported for the permit for a special event to be held by Abigail's Pride. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, they get their permit.
Just want to make sure the 11 a.m. is going
Yeah,
to be.
I only saw to the end time, but yeah, I see it
Well,
now.
no, the end time is 4 PM, but the start time they had 11 PM.
11 PM
It's
to
11
4
a.m.
PM.
So I
Oh,
make
an
sure it's in the
all-nighter,
notes.
okay.
All-nighter, yeah. You should hear that at your house.
That's one long parade, I can tell you that. Ryan, why don't you tackle these in any order that you want to?
All right, I'll try to go fast, we.
You don't have to go fast.
Yeah, no,
Take your
just-
time.
The first item on manager's report, the foreclosure prevention for CBT meetings. The Oakland County Treasurer's Office asked that we read the enclosed document at our next public meeting. So in light of reading it, I will, we'll make sure it's posted on the website and you can read that at your own pace, not right now. Any questions on that one?
Would you send it, or has it already been sent?
It's in the packet. And we'll put it on the website. It's about, taxes, if you, any residents who are looking for information about taxes over the last couple of years to avoid foreclosure, there you have it.
Kind of a public service then.
Yes. All right, next up is grant update. Your packet includes a couple of the pages from the Michigan Arts and Culture Council fiscal year 24 grant guidelines for capital improvement program grants. It's fairly broad. It's one that we are interested in applying for. There is a match to this grant, so you got to read the fine print as well. I would encourage council to read through it, ask any questions. I'll be chipping away at it over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But any questions or information or suggested projects or things like that, all that input is welcome. I'd invite the public as well. We do have several plans we're working from. We've got lots of historic properties to maintain. We've got projects, big and small, going that we can pick from for a grant like this. So we can choose wisely, but we'll do so. This one we may get to pass a resolution at a future meeting before the June 1st deadline as well, but we meet at least twice before then. So
Yeah, and this
Well-
one requires a resolution. Actually, all the grants should truly have a resolution. Most of them require it, but I just think as, from here on out, we should be doing a resolution on every grant that goes to this council. It's a one-to-one match too, and it's due June 1st. Last year, we met with the coordinator. I invited him here. He met with Ryan and I, and he toured Old Town Hall and also the old mill. And one of the things that this grant could be for is windows and doors, roofing for the old mill. That would absolutely fall right into place for this, and that's what we were looking at doing at that time. There are other things that, like Ryan said, so yeah, just read through it. But that was where we were thinking last year, because I know there were some issues with doors at that time. I don't know, Pat, you know more than I do on that?
Yeah, primarily it was just, you know, the panic bars and things like that on the doors, you know.
Okay. And now the monies, if chosen, do not pay out until October, so the work could not get started until October of this year.
Given that it's one-to-one, then we would need to put some money in there.
We would, but do we know if this is what the council wants to spend it on? Do you guys want to look at it?
Well,
Tell Ryan, or what do you
Well,
want,
that's
Ryan?
one of the
What-
reasons I wanted, on that budget meeting, on the workshop hearing, is say, hey, these are things
Yeah.
that we prioritize, and we can put the money there. And
Absolutely.
then it's easy to vote on it when
Yep.
you have the money already in a pot.
Perfect.
And you don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
But that would be a decision for the council to make. I think it's worthwhile too. But it's picking an amount because it's up to 100,000. And we may not want to spend 100,000 out of our budget, but maybe we want to spend
No.
50 and 50 of theirs.
Right, we
So
could spend
pick-
20,
Right,
yeah,
20,
and get
40,
windows,
60.
right, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be, but we would at least know then what we need to set aside to get those improvements made.
If we did it in the May, if we decided the cutoff's June 1st, so I don't want to put Ryan in a rushed. So Ryan, how do you want to do it? I know last year we looked at it for painting the old mill. That's what we wanted to get it for, and
If I
things
could just,
happen.
if I could say something real quick, I know we already have One of the things I was reading in there, it says shovel-ready projects. I know we already have a number of projects that are identified in the Heritage Garden Plan. Those, I would imagine, because we already have the plan, could be considered shovel-ready in many cases. We have funding allocated in our
It
budget
has to
line
be
items already.
historic,
Yeah, it
this
has to be,
particular.
the
It
only
says
two buildings
cultural.
that we,
So, I mean, if the
We-
Heritage Garden is gonna be a cultural space for our community, I don't know if there's any projects that might be appropriate, we can see. Any projects, like we mentioned, maintenance of the old mill, we have a budget line item for that, I think I saw 40,000 this fiscal year for maintenance on Old Mill. So if we have budget-ready items that are identified in some of our existing line items, I think that those should be looked at. We also have our master plan where we have a lot of identified projects that we could also review and see if any of them would fit too. So I would say those would be the sources I would look at first, as existing budget line items where we already have the funds allocated, and then we already have kind of a set limit, and we can kind of leverage this to expand and get more money for a project.
That's why we were looking at those.
what funds would you say those are currently in?
We have a Heritage Garden Fund, we have a wayfinding fund line item in our budget already. We have a,
And it's not being
Historical
used for
building
something
maintenance.
else?
No, the signs are, he's working, that whole thing will be depleted until we do the budget.
Because when I got
Old
this from
Mill,
Melanie, I asked Ryan about it, and he says only two things in this village that it'll ever apply to is this building and the,
For the historic.
for the historic.
Yeah, for the
Because
historic,
it has to be an historic thing, because I would have thought, hey, let's use it for, this pavement project, or this sidewalk, or this or that. And it was very specific about
it is specific, but it does mention anything that promotes arts and culture in the community. So if we're gonna be doing anything that would be considered adding art into the Heritage Garden design or something like that, perhaps something like that could fall under that.
I didn't read it deep enough to know if that's a stretch or if that's, hitting a home run.
I
So
don't
this
know.
item is just informational at this time.
Yeah.
There are some opportunities, we will all take some time to learn some more, so that when we come together next, we have a recommendation for a project to pursue. We'll
All for
have
it.
more information in the near future.
And there is if you guys want, Ryan has the website to this grant where all of you can read more about it.
I actually have it as well.
Yeah.
And you said
And
you
one of
were
the-
welcome to review these efforts with you in your office.
Please.
Yes. And one of the things too, I had talked to Ryan about was possibly, the fire suppression for the old mill. And I know that's like 400,000, but my thinking was if the fire department and Brandon Township and the village all put some money towards it, and then with a match, I don't know, but I don't know how much that fire suppression would be now, because that was last
Probably
year.
more.
Well,
But it's something to think about.
okay,
Yeah.
but I asked Ryan, he said fire suppression doesn't apply.
It may.
It
I
may.
think it may, but the match scares me.
Okay.
The
But-
1-1 is.
Right, but we
that's a
wouldn't
very
have,
expensive
and I was thinking other areas, that's why I thought if the township, the fire department and us,
There's lots of opportunities.
yeah,
So we'll have more next time we come together.
Okay.
yeah, because that would have to be shared for that big of a. But it's a great
Further
grant.
grants updates, if I may, in your packet. Matt and I have been looking at several different grants, applied for a few, sought appropriations from our federal legislatures. All of those have been around Heritage Garden. We know that's a big project that, public spaces are a big deal right now, so it's to solicit funds for that. There are more rounds of the Spark Grant coming up. Tony, I buried the headline, but we did hear back from the DNR on our plans for the concession stand. So that's ongoing. We will have some back and forth to finalize those plans over the next couple of weeks.
Oh, good.
With the architect. But then we will be able to get those out for quotes and bids as soon as they're approved. We're chomping at the bit to do that as soon as possible. And as discussed, we'll have some resolutions for you in the near future too. Any questions?
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
grants in general, is it always something we're gonna do with the DDA, or is this something we can do by ourselves?
There's some, it's a both and.
Yeah.
There's some that are just DDA, and or
Okay.
some you have to be a municipality to apply, and there's some, our efforts are better together, so it varies.
All right,
Yep.
thanks.
But they're a good
And
willing
then
partner.
for those, because I have a whole bunch, I've just been waiting for us to get a process. How many do you truly think you could, do you wanna apply for 2 or 3 every quarter, or 2 or 3 every month? What are you envisioning as far as grants? Because we've missed about 7 that have been really specific that we could have applied for already.
What am I envisioning?
As far, because the office has to do it unless you know, that's the thing, it's what is the, what are you, how many grants do you think the office staff could truly do?
I would say capacity is an issue. I would say I serve the pleasure of the council, so you can tell me direction on that as a council, collectively, all 7 of you. But I would say I haven't had time to update a special event permit for 16 months. So saying we're gonna go for 10 a year is a stretch for me personally at the moment. It's a worthwhile conversation. I'd love to have a more definitive process and more guidance from this body on this.
We can do that.
We can do that. All right, thank you.
If I could just add one thing on that topic about grants, I think that before we start applying for a whole bunch of grants, we should first have a clear list of the projects for which we want to apply them for, and that's our capital improvement plan mostly.
Correct.
So I think that should be our main focus, is get our capital improvement plan in really good shape so that we can then match up what we have in the capital improvement grant to the available grants, and also to the available budget that we have as a community, because we don't have unlimited funds to match grant monies either. So we
That's
have to
true.
pick and choose which grants
Right.
and how much money we can spend
I want to
towards
take
it.
all those things into
And Larry,
consideration.
we've talked
during
about
the
that
course.
before, and yes, and the majority of the ones we were looking at are not a match, and that's why we're looking at those, so we do understand that, but I guess we should all submit something maybe to Ken, I don't know how you wanna do it, of how we see a process going. That way we can give Ryan feedback.
Well, there again, it says, we can talk to him at any time in his office, so I say.
But he also said he'd like the 7 of us to tell him what direction to go. We
Well,
can't have 7 directions.
my view would be that the capital improvement plan, based upon the projects in there and our timing when we want to do them, would drive the grant application process, because that's where you would be looking to identify funding sources for those items in the capital improvement plan. So that would be what I would see, is you start with the capital improvement plan, you pick your projects, and then you look for the grant money that can help supplement the funding needs. That would be how I would see it.
Okay, Ryan, do you want to take us forward?
Yes, 175th is coming together. Check out the village website for the 175th anniversary page. Check out the Facebook event page. You can find that on Facebook. And then the Citizen has been doing a fantastic job of
They
running
have.
monthly stories about Ortonville history.
That is really cool.
Next up, just a quick sidewalk project update on Oakwood. We've met a few times. We are working on our aggressive timeline. Plans and submissions to Eagle, NEPA, and SHPO have been submitted. Later this week, Bob and I will walk with Paul along the proposed route to identify any landmark trees or other issues to consider before we set the alignment of the sidewalk. You may have seen surveyors out there. If you're a resident on Oakwood and you wondered what those guys were doing, that was it. But more to come in the near future. We're working on an aggressive timeline this spring to get it rocking and rolling for next year, for later this fiscal year. So it won't be long. Questions on that one? Okay, and then the last page of your packet is the Oakland County Planners Gathering on social districts. It's a topic we've touched on in the past. It's one that the DDA is interested in. Here in Ortonville, there's lots of successful social districts in Oakland County as well as around the state of Michigan. They've been in Michigan since 2020. It may come up at an April 18th joint meeting with the DDA. And so this virtual planners gathering on April 26th follows shortly thereafter. Good information from familiar faces from Oakland County. So I would encourage everyone to register if interested. Any questions on that?
Now, what might be interesting too is if we're gonna go ahead with this, I mean, Lake Orion has one, so we should take a little field trip over there and see how they've got theirs and how they like it and what they would do differently, that kind of thing. Yeah, me too, thanks.
I think, does Holly have one?
Don't know if they have a
Or do
social-
they just do it
They've
for a
got-
special event?
I'm not sure if the alley is one or not.
I'm not sure either.
I'm not sure.
I
There's
gotta
a
ask.
couple requirements, which I've been working through with Matt on some of the things we need to have in place before. There's quite a bit of process to make it happen. with
Yeah.
signs and
I didn't know if we were
information.
eligible or not, but I didn't get that far into it, but so far,
No,
okay,
soon maybe.
okay, all right, then you saw what I saw, okay.
Okay,
That's it
that's,
for me.
Did
go ahead.
no, did you wanna talk about personnel? Did anyone talk about personnel?
Yeah, but we're in closed session for
Yeah,
that.
we're coming to that.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. We are?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Next answer. Would somebody make a motion to move out of open session?
Motion to adjourn our open session, our meeting.
Support?
Moved and supported. All those in favor of closing the open session of this meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? This open portion of the meeting is now adjourned at 8 o'clock. And
I
I'm
make
going
a
to-
motion to go into closed session at 8 o'clock.
There we go.
We have to turn the cameras off or.
Yeah, we have to, we gotta do a little
And everybody has to leave,
bit of
unfortunately.
house cleaning here.
Building
Those in favor?
Aye.
During the closed session, we had a negotiation regarding the terms of employment with the village manager. And if someone would like to make a motion regarding that meeting, I would like them to do so.
I make a motion to accept the agreed upon paternity terms with the village manager.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. If there is no discussion other than what we had in closed session, I could ask the clerk to do a roll call vote on that motion.
Give me 1 second, I'm right too slow.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Roll call will be Hayden,
Yes.
George,
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Nivelt.
Yes?
Randazzo. Yes. Brooks.
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Support?